to problems of stomach infrastructure. The things that I love them are hungry, they are desperate. Maybe stomach infrastructure, not in terms of monies alone, maybe for political relevance and ambition, but the things that look, Nigerians should be careful of these guys who are moving in large numbers from the PDP or from the Labour Party into the APC. I had to do a quick search, really, because the numbers are staggering. So many people have been moving. And there are pundits who are also saying that, look, more will still move, that there are some who are even marking time. A quick search, for example, on Google shows that 2 days ago, it was reported by the Punch newspaper that 3 Kaduna PDP lawmakers defected to the APC. 4 days ago, the Business Day reported that PDP was hit by another defection as Kebbi lawmaker joins APC. Recently, too, Senator Ned Nwoko dumped the PDP for APC, but his daughter also did the same thing. In fact, there was a report about some few days ago that Ned was telling the governor, don't come and join us here, alluding to the fact that, look, the governor of Delta State may also just be warming up to defect from the PDP to the APC. So it's a long list of defections, Barrister Curtis Adiba. I think the Labour Party have also lost a lot of elected members, some of them ordinary members, to the APC. What's going on with our politicians, especially the ones in the opposition?
2 things. One, when a purpose of a thing is not known, abuse becomes inevitable. These men probably say, being members of National Assembly or State House of Assembly, have been belonging to a club, either a social club or a community club. They don't know that they are in the place as a result of the dictates of the law and their ways and manners and conduct, also regulated by the law. Now, the second thing is, these things keep happening because the courts in Nigeria are not willing to deal with the issue. And I say this with all sense of responsibility. The Supreme Court laid down clear position in Abegunde's case in Ondo State.
Ondo State, yeah.
Where the court said, if you are a member of the legislature, you cannot defect unless there is a clear division in your party.
In your party.
Now, the court also went further to say, division necessarily does not mean disagreement. It does not mean that people are just infighting within the party. That is expected. The division must be such that it incapacitated the structure of the party. That the party, that you cannot point to one faction and say, this is the real faction, and they cannot field candidates for an election. And this was extremely clear. But do you know what these men without scruples, without any iota of principle do once there is a party in power? And you know, as I said in this studio, that Nigerian politics like 2 deep ends of one river.
Of the same river.
Seasonally, one side gets filled up more as a result of the topography. Then all the fishes on the other side move in there. And when it happens for the next season,
they move.
They move. That's what you see. No ideology, nothing. It's all about, what do I get now? It's about the bandwagon effect. The president will give money to all members of the party who are contesting because he wants to retain the National Assembly. And then we get to belong to the majority in the House. Will be heard. Whatever they are sharing will come to us. So even when there are no crises within the party, they create one.
Just to be able to move.
But if the court has stamped down this practice, and the problem is that instead of the leadership of the House, or the leadership of the House is to move on based on the judgment of the Supreme Court, you will see that they say, okay, let's look for a political solution. I'll take you back to 2015. When Bukola Saraki and co left the PDP for the new APC, you remember that the then president of the Senate, David Mark, didn't want to implement the law. He preferred a political solution. Said he was going to talk to the members.
There were calls for him to declare their seats vacant. So,
but then, let's even look at the man himself. And I must make a disclosure.
When you say
here.
the man,
Tambuwal.
Tambuwal himself, okay. Yeah.
Who made this statement?
Yes.
Let me make a personal disclosure here. that Aminu Tambuwal is a personal friend, and that we were both in the law school together. In fact, in 2015, I went to Sokoto for a swearing ceremony. So it's someone that I know. But I think he lacks the moral stand
at this time to talk
to
about
make this
defections.
comment. Because, and that is the reason. The reason is simple. Aminu Tambuwal was elected to the House of Representatives on the ticket of the PDP.
Yes.
Tambuwal became speaker on the ticket of the PDP, disagreed with the PDP. And Jonathan moved to the APC. You recall how Jonathan sent policemen to the house that time to prevent how they were jumping fence.
That was when they were jumping. I think Dino Melai tore his shirt, and so that was the Tambuwal era.
He was given a ticket
From the PDP.
No, a speaker who just defected from the PDP to APC.
APC, yes.
He was given the ticket to run for governorship in the APC. And you know that he was elected on the ticket of APC.
As governor.
Yeah. And then 4 years later, he dumped the party and went back to the PDP.
But is the man talking about defections now?
So that's what I'm saying. In as much as he's made a legitimate point,
Yes.
he lacks the moral standing
At
to
this
be the
time
one to make that case. That's the point I'm making. And like I said, he's a personal friend. Because he's had history of defecting from PDP,
moving
to
also
APC,
like a fish
and
from
APC
where?
back to PDP. So, you understand? He has also not played politics of principle that he's calling on others to play. That's the point I'm trying to make. But having said that, you know, where politics is not driven by principle, where politics is not driven by the common good, where politics is not driven, okay, by the desire and the needs of the people, this is what you get. It's all about themselves. You understand?
Yes.
It's about having some pictures, having some time in the sunlight, just like Jᴏɪᴜ and Co are in the news now. This Jᴏɪᴜ, look, guy, first of all, came to Nigerians as a social critic and somebody who was fighting for the rights of others. Sani couldn't have won any election in Kaduna without Buhari. Buhari was
being
the one,
everyone that everybody
of course,
leaned on.
He was the bandwagon. The
Buhari effect.
Buhari mania or Buhari effect swept most of these guys to power. And when he had problem with Governor Rufai and he had to leave the party, he was not elected back to the Senate. You know, so again, for me, it doesn't come as a surprise that these people are just
moving.
changing. These are like footballers, poorly paid footballers who may be earning 15,000 naira here in one club.
And then there's a call somewhere, they just jump.
Call tomorrow, they just jump for the opportunity and whatever they get. And of course, you know, the reason why they got, like in Kaduna State, the governor is doing what he's doing because he's not sitting well.
Yeah.
Given the division within the party, and the other part of the division being led by Rufai, you know, who is also very popular and very feisty. Ubasani needs everyone he can get on his side
At this time.
to fight for re-election. So that's not strange. Now, when you go to Labour Party members who are losing, who are defecting to the APC, again, the reason why they are defecting is because they are saying clearly that the Labour Party has no hope. They have no hope.
Are you saying it's a hopeless party at this time?
They have no hope now. If they had any hope,
future.
Julius Abura is saying all is well with the party.
Julius Abura, or whatever he calls himself, like I said, his cloth is tearing and he thinks he's expanded. By insisting that he will be the chairman of that party, look at all the litigation. As I speak to you today, LSOT is one leg in, one leg out.
Yes.
Obi himself is not even Labour.
He's just floating.
He's just floating. So where is Labour Party? Don't forget that these guys were swept to power because of Obi's,
just like Buhari,
Yeah, and the desire of Nigerians to have a change. That desire now has basically fizzled out. The reason being that the few members that were elected on the ticket of the party, apart from Iritikingebe, who is still speaking, and all the others, they just melted into the ecosystem of the usual politics in Nigeria.
Is it a case of when you are eating, you don't talk?
These ones, what are they even eating?
What are they? But at least they chop something.
Well, maybe cook a corn.
You know, but Nuruddin, you know, but psychologists have said that, look, with former governor Aminu Tambuwal, we probably just have to maybe take his message, but as a messenger, he has no local standing, really. He doesn't have the moral standing, to be able to talk about defections, because he also have this history of, you know, defecting, moving from one party to the other party. So when it comes to principled politicking, he's not somebody that can really stand and say, oh, these are guys who have no principles. He also has shown not to really be a very principled politician. But so beyond Aminu Tambuwal, we've established that ordinary Nigerians, you know, this is over 25 years of sustained democracy. We had hoped that by now, you know, the hope was that, look, we have a very robust system, a system that can stand on its own, strong institutions, strong political parties, well-behaved politicians with some level of dignity and ideology. But the picture just works, they just move in there. There's really no principle, and it's almost like same of the same. Where does this leave the other Nigerians who are looking on to politicians really for maybe hope anywhere?
Well, let me start from Tambuwal. One thing that we cannot take from Tambuwal is that Tambuwal, this defection as an executive does not against the law.
But again, we are talking about moving from one party to another party.
Every politician in Nigeria, there is no politician that cannot move. If President Bola Ahmed Tinubu can let some people in Action Group, Action Congress, and form Action Congress of Nigeria, left some people in AD. AD did not die when ACN was created. You remember? So automatically, you know that.
But he created his own. He created his own. And that's really the party he moved to was not existing. He created a new one.
No. What I mean is that when he created Action Congress, AD was still a political party.
But you can't call that defection.
No, where I'm going is that if he can also, is he moving?
It's a defection because there was no merger.
Because there was no merger.
No, he created a new one.
I know, but the old one is still available. Automatically. So one thing there is this. Look, let us be with the type of politicians. They practice politics in another country. With the type of politicians that we have in Nigeria, with the jumpology, as Vice Secretary will say, the way they are jumping from another, it shows that we shouldn't expect anything from it. Any politician that move from one party to another as a legislator is not moving because of anybody, even as an executive. He's not moving, he's moving because of himself. It may be because of the chances of winning another election. Is the parties to be within the majority, but it's personal to him, not to the people he's representing. And with this type of politicians that we have, it shows that the mandate that was given to him by Nigerians on that platform of that particular party is taking it to another party. That kind of person cannot be trusted. Then another thing again is this. Ordinary Nigerians, if in your country they are practicing democracy and you cannot put your hope in the politicians that are representing you, that is problem. And that's why you see that we are encouraging more Nigerians not to just sit down they look. You may not be a politician,
but get active, get involved.
But you must be involved, because these politicians, they think they are better than any other people in the country because they are politicians. They believe they have all the senses in the world. And when you look them, some of them, we are in the same classes with them. Some of them will school with them. They are not better than us. Every Nigerian must be involved, because with the type of politicians that we have, we are moving nowhere.
But they are chopping more than you.
No, they will be chopping more than us because of the system.
The money, the way they get.
Yes, now, because of the system that we are running here as a democracy. Look, I try to tell people as a journalist, and with what we face during time of military, I still prefer democratic setting than the military. But in terms of what I've enjoyed in my life as a citizen of this country, I enjoyed the dividend of being a citizen in this country under military government than under the civilian. I start to be corrected. I could remember I was born into a house where water is running. I was born into a family where to use light is not a big deal. I was born into a family that I attended public primary school, public secondary school, just like any. I know the number of military generals that their children were in the same school in CMS Grammar School. At that particular time, we know to travel abroad for holidays compared to now. So when we look at it with the type of politicians that we have now, I'm telling you, we are far, far, far away from heaven with this type of politicians.
You know, last week I told some people that you cannot say you fear Satan if you don't fear Nigerian politicians. In fact, you have no business fearing Satan if you don't fear Nigerian politicians. And why? The people who took a country endowed with the kind of resources that we have and ran it aground. You have to be afraid of them. Listen, look, the fact that Nigerian politicians are moving from one party to the other is not new in the world. These things happen in other parts of the world. I can give you several examples.
But the frequency here
in the United States, the current junior senator from West Virginia, Jim Justice, who was governor of West Virginia for so many years, was elected as a Democrat. But at some point he disagreed with his party, said the party was moving too far to the left. That was the open reason he gave. But we knew the reason he gave was that West Virginia gave Trump the highest
number of votes
in terms of differences, the percentage points that he won the election. It was West Virginia and Wyoming. But Jim Justice felt that his position was threatened and he moved to the Republican
Party.
Now, the senator from the same West Virginia, Joe Manchin, who had been a registered Democrat, changed his registration to an independent in 2024.
So we have these things too.
So also with Senator Christine Sinema of Arizona, won election as a Democrat, became an independent. And then in New Jersey, from the 2nd Congressional District, Kennedy Van Drew changed party completely. Registered Democrat, won election as a Democrat,
moved to the other side.
And then he was re-elected as a Republican by the same Congress, by the same district. Now, these things do happen. Even in the United Kingdom, we see political parties move. We see members of political parties disagreeing with their parties.
And they're moving to the other side.
They go and start a new party, like Nigel Farage, who left UKIP and started another party because they felt it was okay. These things do happen. But then when they happen in other places, they give you convincing reasons why they have to move. For instance, Christine Sinema felt that what she was called upon to do by the Congress, by the Democrat-dominated Congress during Biden, which was like temper with some of the rules in the House and all that, and some of the big ticket items that Biden was going to work on, she didn't agree fully. And so, because of so much pressure on her, she left the party and became an independent. Even though she caucuses with the Democrats, but that gives her the liberty to say, I don't want to do what you're asking me to do. Do you understand now? But in Nigeria here, I have never heard anybody say the only reason why we are dumping our party for another party is because the budget for water that we put forward on behalf of our people
was called to
the schools, the hospitals, and all this thing
that we wanted to do.
Based on
that principle are moving.
No, that's why we are moving. It's not you are not moving because you just want to belong to the majority. Or you just feel that there's more money in that party for your re-election.
Or there's more political support that will come for your ambition.
You understand? This is why those who drafted our constitution in their wisdom felt that members of the executive who are going to be electable are supposed to do 2 terms only.
They have a fixed term.
Yes,
and
they can defect.
Because it can't be more than 2.
They can be PDP in the morning, be APC in the
night.
Because of the fixed term. It can't be more than 2. 8 years maximum.
The Supreme Court laid down
but for legislators.
Yes, Atiku's case. When Obasanjo sought to sack Atiku.
When he defected.
After he defected the ACN. The Supreme Court said, no, you cannot sack him. The principle contained in the Constitution is very clear. Members of the executive
Can defect.
can defect. A state governor can defect.
But for the legislature,
Deputy governor can defect, except that if he does it in a state where he's weak, he'll be impeached.
let's get it.
So what I'm saying is, and the trade-off for legislatures is that you have no term limit. So long as your people keep voting for you can come back. And because you are representing the people, you cannot take their mandate
to another party.
to another party. Look at what happened in the United States, for instance. In the United States, every state, whether you are big or you are small, you have 2 senators. Why is that so? Because they believe that the senators represent the states, and the states are equal, not in size, not in budget, but in creation by the law.
And political structure.
50 states.
And so senators, when they are elected in the US, they are elected to a term of 6 years. But the House of Representatives represent the people. And they are elected for only 2 years.
So they keep having that, midterm election.
You see? So every time there's a midterm election or a presidential cycle election,
Because the feelings that they represent the
House,
people.
yes, and that the people cannot wait for 6 years to decide whether you are representing them or not. That's why you keep going back to them.
Yes.
Now, when every time there is an election, it's not the whole Senate in the US that is disbanded, like what we do here.
Yeah.
It's only 1/3 of the US Senate that goes for an election. What it does is that constantly you have experienced men
Who remain in the Senate.
who remain in the Senate. Okay, so so people need to understand why they were elected first and foremost to the House. The mandate they hold belongs to the people. It's not their personal mandate.
But a lot of time when they move, they don't even consult the people.
They don't even consult.
It's not even about that. That worries me. What worries me is that it shows the type of country that we are running, and it shows the weakness of our law. If it is illegal for a particular legislative member to cross carpet
Without any division
Without
in the
any
party,
division.
a major division.
And I agree with you.
and we do as if it's
It
a
doesn't
no.
matter.
No, then I agree with you. Well, look, if we respect our laws and if we enforce our laws, the so-called members of the House of Assembly of Rivers State
They should be housed by
will be
now.
ex-members.
Yes.
By now, we'll be talking about conducting fresh
No,
elections.
they said the defection was not perfected.
When somebody even went to the court.
How do you perfect?
To do an
No.
affidavit on it.
For the benefit of our
Because that have been the argument. That,
No, for the
because
benefit
they
of our
announced
no,
merely
for
the,
No, it's not about announcing it.
All right.
for the benefit of our listeners.
Yeah.
Those who defected previously, did they sign a letter in the court?
To show that they
No.
defected. No.
Even those who defected yesterday, how did we get to know that they defected? It was a public event. These guys called the press conference. The video is still there. They called the press conference.
And in addition, they even went to Federal High Court in Abuja to swear an affidavit that not a member of that particular party, and there was an evidence to that effect. So what are we talking about?
But Sir Curtis, we continue to have these conversations, and I think what I can take from the side of the table in terms of your analysis, and I think it aligns with that of Nuruddin, is that look, we'll continue to deal with things like this. So
we hate the idea of people defecting. It is not good. It's unlawful, except there's a clear case of division within the party that incapacitates the party in such a manner that you don't know which faction.
But the things we see now by Sir Curtis, Nuruddin, it's like these guys don't give a damn.
This
they don't
is
care.
defection for pleasure.
No, it's because
Nobody takes it up.
No, it's because the type of politicians that we have at the end of affairs. During the time of PDP, people have been cross-carpeting too. What did the president at that particular time, during the time of Obasanjo, was cross-carpeting? During the time of Yaradua, during the time of Jonathan, during the time of Buhari.
So what I'm saying is that
because of the type of politicians
Can
that we have.
Can I tell you something?
And that is the thing.
You alluded to one factor when you were giving the introduction. People say history repeats itself.
Yes.
History does not repeat itself. What repeats itself are the rhymes of history. And unfortunately, we do not learn from the rhymes of history. And that is why people say, history tends to repeat itself. You see, the PDP, the AP, when the PDP was at the stage of PDP now, recall that the PDP had won 3 consecutive elections.
Yes.
They were going to go for the 4th one. That was when the major crisis in the PDP started.
Yes.
Culminating in the 2015 election when 5 PDP governors
Moved
and
away.
some members of the National Assembly left the party in the name of MPDP to join the APC. Now, sometimes more is not better than less. Because as you take in more members of the opposition party under your umbrella, the problem is that you are going to have too much egos. And the first thing Mr. President and Ganduje want to do is that all members of the National Assembly now will first of all be given the right of first refusal for their ticket, which means that except for places like Delta, even in Delta now, the APC candidate who ran and lost is still warming up to run.
Yes.
And Nnedi is going there. So you are going to have conflicts in all the state chapters of the party, which will weaken the strength of the party, and you are going to find people who are still leaving the party to join other political parties.
Is that the implosion that has been predicted?
So yes, so the APC is not learning. They didn't learn from what happened to the PDP at this stage. And so this might become an advantage even for the PDP. That is if the PDP still exists as a party, because we are hearing that. No, I think there are people who believe that the brand is toxic and there's a need to abandon the brand for a new one.
A new one.
So you are going to find a new political party spring up from an existing party.
So you
But it's
think
no longer going to be like PDP.
so you think that the PDP might go into extinction, something new, the
I
same
think
set of
so.
politicians but moving into
Yes.
a different structure.
I think so. It's
But you
like-
should know that by now, if you look at the way it's going, people does not even matter. But now there's going to be a rallying point. When you have El-Rufai say he's not going to PDP, he's still in APC, but he's having meeting with the SDP, and you'll be wondering what is taking Fubara to go to APP. And at the same time, you'll be wondering that during the local government election also in Abia State, what is taking Oti to also looking at this. So you should be able to know that at this particular time, there's going to be a kind of
Don't tell
rally.
anybody. Don't tell anybody. El-Rufai is trying to do Wiki style.
It's very
Yeah.
obvious. Very obvious.
I'm still in APC.
Very obvious.
But it's
But his
But-
people are still in APC.
But don't you think that the APC would not tolerate, an El-Rufai, for example, doing a wiki on them?
No,
the way wiki is doing for the
person that
PDP.
can do it most is
Yeah.
him. Do you know the reason? His own people are still in APC in Kaduna State.
Okay, wait, because again, I want us to quickly move to this very important issue of the U.S. congressman who has got a lot of Nigerians thinking, talking, debating. That's shocking revelation. Is it shocking anyways? We have to look at it. See, political roundtable may be working. Please, if you're on either Facebook and YouTube, or you are used to our Radio Garden app, you can try it. The engineers are telling me that it's active, it is working at this time. So if that's what you like, that platform you like, you can switch to the Radio Garden app now and also give us a feedback at the revelation by U.S. congressman that United States Aid for International Development, USAID, under the Barack Obama and Joe Biden administration, has funded terrorist organizations like Boko Haram, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and other terrorist networks in the world. Scott Perry, Representative Scott Perry, United States congressman representing Pennsylvania, made this disclosure at the inaugural hearing. Very important that we emphasize that, of the subcommittee on delivering on government efficiency just this past Thursday, after President Donald Trump shut down the agency, accusing it of massive corruption. I think we have the sound bite of Representative Congressman Scott Perry, and it would just be nice that we listen to him, what he has to say, on this particular matter. I see Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. We will be right back.
Plus, the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding. If you think that the program under Operation Enduring Sentinel entitled Women's Scholarship Endowment, which receives $60 million annually, or the Young Women Lead, which gets about $5 million annually, is going to women who, by the way, if you read the Inspector General's report, is telling you that the Taliban does not allow women to speak in public. Yet somehow you're believing, and American people are supposed to believe, that this money is going for the betterment of the women in Afghanistan. It is not. You are funding terrorism, and it's coming through USAID. And it's not just Afghanistan, because Pakistan's right next door. USAID spent $840 million in the last 20 years on Pakistan's education-related program. It includes $136 million to build 120 schools, of which there is zero evidence that any of them were built. Why would there be any evidence? The Inspector General can't get in to see them. But you know what? We doubled down and spent $20 million from USAID to create educational television programs for children unable to attend the physical school. Yeah, they can't attend it because it doesn't exist. You paid for it. Somebody else got the money. You are paying for terrorism. This has got to end. I yield, Mr. Chairman. Who gets some of that money? Does that name ring a bell to anybody in the room? Because your money, 609.
98.3 Mainland FM.
Very interesting comments there, really, from Congressman Scott Perry.
First and foremost,
yes,
Scott Perry is a right winger, and one of the things that they are known for is exaggerating the facts and minimizing the truth.
Exaggerating the facts and minimizing the truth.
And all that. He used the party finds that maybe there's a concentration of black and brown people in a particular district, and as a result of that, because they vote Democrats in such a way that it now begins to favor a particular group of people. That has gone to the Supreme Court so many times. The Supreme Court has struck it down, but like in North Carolina, but they keep bringing it up because in 2013, he's the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, the most extreme caucus. In fact, they don't only trouble the Democrats and other Americans, they trouble the Republicans.
Cause trouble within their own party.
Within their party.
Cause trouble.
In fact, majority of them came from the Tea Party. And if you realize, if you understand how they move, they are the ones who ensure that Kevin McCarthy could not become the speaker until the 19th vote. They are also member. It was also
there was a round of voting until the 19th time before. Yeah. So those are the guys who
in fact, they were also the holdouts to call 2 or 3 of them to change their vote before Johnson was re-elected speaker. And one of the things they stand out for, they are hardline immigrants. They are hardline. Look, they are against immigrants.
These guys.
Yes, these guys are against immigrants. Hardliners when it comes to immigration. They will never allow any legislation on immigration to pass. The last immigration reform that happened in the United States was in 1989. And it was under President Bush Sr. And these guys walked across the aisle. And that used to be the secret of American greatness. That all the parties disagree. But they always find accommodation to walk across the aisle. That has stopped happening with the election of Barack Obama. And that's why you hear some Americans saying, we're taking over our country. We're taking back our country. From who? From other Americans, from their fellow Americans.
They don't see it like that.
Now, what Johnson is saying just was just...
Scott Perry.
Yes, Scott Perry, was just flashes.
Conspiracy theories.
And he went out with this big conspiracy theory. And I'll break it down for those who don't understand. First of all, the USAID is an all-encompassing first responder outfit that the United States uses to get so many things done across the world. If America's strategic foreign interest is affected, they use the cover of the USAID to go there.
To move in.
And there are a lot of people who can testify that the USAID has done quite a lot of good things all over the world. But they have been used as cover for certain things that the United States has done.
Which is about their own interest too.
In own interest. He mentioned the Taliban. Why did the United States government fund the Taliban in Afghanistan?
History is there for people to
It was
dig
the
up.
time of the Cold War. Russia had invaded Afghanistan. It was in the interest of the United States to ensure that Russia did not win that war.
And so they funded the Taliban.
So they funded the
The
Taliban.
Mujahideen, as they call
Yes.
them.
But then, when they struck down the Twin Tower, the World Trade Center in America,
They went after them.
and Osama bin Laden was found to be hiding in Afghanistan, the same United States went to fight the Taliban. And Russia again did the opposite of, did exactly what the United States do by
Also,
supporting the Mujahideen also to fight
America.
in Africa. So that was how they funneled funds to the Taliban. Now, when you talk about Pakistan, what they don't understand is that majority of the citizens of Afghanistan are Pashtuns. And Pashtuns are from Pakistan. They just moved from Pakistan to Afghanistan. You also have the Uzbeks, the Tajiks, and all that, but the Pashtuns are the
Dominant
population.
tribe.
Now, when America sends money to Pakistan, America tries to use Pakistan to contain the insecurity in Afghanistan from coming out. And there was a time that America was sending money to Pakistan to help find Osama bin Laden, if you recall,
And that was,
in Abbottabad, very close to their military setup.
which was strange, really, until America fished him out.
It's like hiding a body in the cemetery.
How you going to say the person did there?
You understand what I'm saying? Now, the second point, it talked about funding ISIS. And I think that was an ignorant statement. Completely ignorant. Why do I say so? We all know how. I think, okay, let me not say we all know. Now, some of us do understand how ISIS emerged in Iraq. Okay? We know that the United States of America, against the resolution of the United Nations, had invaded Iraq in 2003. Saddam Hussein was deposed. The Ba'ath Party, made up of Sunnis, of course, dissolved, all right? And most of the fighters dissolved into the Iraqi community and became terrorists. And the reason why they did that was that America hawks democracy all over the world they go. They believe that is the solution to all problems, all encompassing problems. So what they did was to introduce a constitution.
The top-down model. Just
Yes.
take it. This is your solution.
This is it. They introduced democracy in Iraq that produced a Shia,
As the leader
Nouri
of the-
al-Maliki,
Yeah,
as prime minister. Nouri al-Maliki went after Saddam Hussein. Of course, it was his government that hanged Saddam Hussein and all others. So members of the Ba'ath Party, you know, who fed that the Ba'athification group in Iraq, you know, where you help people like, I don't know if you heard the time the Al-Sakri Shrine was bombed in Iraq. That brought out the Shia militia, okay, to fight because they were in the majority. And they had the government apparatus with them. Now, the response from the Sunni in Iraq was to start ISIS. Okay? And then Abu Zakawi, Abu Mohammed al-Zakawi,
With that,
who was killed by a U.S. strike, was the leader of ISIS at that point. So when you say, and ISIS was killing Americans, bombing, beheading
that was why they
Americans.
went after them. Yeah.
Yes. So how would America then
Fund a group that is
ISIS?
killing their own people.
It makes no sense. Now, the other claim that he made that made no sense was that USAID was funding Boko Haram.
Boko Haram.
And they were doing that because Obama didn't like Jonathan. In fact, Jonathan even claimed that Obama ensured that he was defeated. The simple question, we should all trigger our thinking ability. What is America's overall strategic national interest?
With Nigeria.
What was Obama pursuing? What was it that Jonathan couldn't do for Obama that Buhari could do?
Or that he even did for 8 years.
Now that he even did.
And that would have necessitated funding
Yes.
Boko Haram to remove Jonathan.
Yes. And you know, when they say, oh, you know, he was giving because he preferred Buhari and he was funding Boko Haram.
Boko Haram.
To do what? And what I would tell you is that America felt that Nigeria was too important in their own calculation. And in fact, their biggest ally in the West African sub-region.
And then the stability
And
was
so-
going to cause
Exactly.
trouble all over the world. You can't.
And
The
that
largest
felt
black
that
African nation in the world.
Jonathan was the wrong person because he wasn't doing enough. If you go and read some security reports, they said they had even gotten in touch with him when they planned to abduct the Chibok girls.
To help.
The
you know,
mass movement of these terrorists. When
they
they
gave him
moved,
intelligence reports.
yes, when they moved with the girls, he still didn't do anything. In fact, if you lived in Nigeria then, you knew that it took Jonathan some days.
To even realize that
Even
something had
before he
happened.
accepted.
Yes.
So, for an Obama or anybody who was president in the U.S., is that you needed a man who could stem the tide of Boko Haram or the terrorist activities in Nigeria. That was the only driving American force. What led to what happened. But this whole idea that you said was being used to fund Boko Haram, to achieve what? Oh, if it is the minerals, let me tell you, they can take the minerals without Boko
funding
Haram.
any group. It's even easier for them.
Right
anyway.
now, Trump is telling the Ukrainian president,
Give us your solid minerals.
give us your solid minerals. That's the only way
Fund you.
we can support you to fight the war. You understand what I'm saying?
Mr. Curtis, there's this interesting take. I'll allow you to complete your thoughts for cutting in. By Femi Adefenwa, all the way from New York City.
Okay.
On this same topic, when he said the way he put it is that, look, the claim that former United States President Barack Obama and Joe Biden used United States Agency for National Development to fund Boko Haram in Nigeria comes from U.S. Congressman Scott Perry and has been reported by some news outlets. However, there's no solid evidence to support this allegation.
There's nothing in the report.
In fact, both administrations actively opposed Boko Haram. For example, in 2014, the Obama administration provided significant support to Nigeria, including intelligence sharing and deploying advisory teams to help fight Boko Haram and secure the return of kidnapped individuals. It's important to note that Perry is a controversial figure whose statements have often sparked debate and drawn skepticism. His claims, including those regarding USAID and Boko Haram, have not been substantiated by credible evidence, underscoring the need to evaluate his assertions with caution and to verify them with multiple sources. It is worthy or noteworthy that throughout history, the U.S. has used intelligence operations to influence the political landscape of other nations. Common examples include covert operations in Iran, Operations Ajax in 1953, Guatemala 1954, and Chile in 1973, which were carried out during the Cold War to counter perceived threats and promote U.S. strategic interests, just like you said by Mr. Curtis Adigba. In addition, Africa has had its own notable examples. During the early 1960s, U.S. involvement in the Congo crisis is a prime illustration.
In Angola too?
After Congo gained independence, covert actions and intelligence operations played a role in the political instability that eventually led to the gruesome murder of the first Prime Minister Patrice Lumumba.
Remember, yes, of the Congo.
And the eventual rise of Mobutu Sese Seko,
Yes.
whose long dictatorship significantly negatively impacted the region. This example, along others, underscores how U.S. interventions have often been driven
What about
by
Nigeria?
strategic interests
Yes.
rather than a desire to destabilize partner nations. I'm coming by Mr. Curtis. Given that Nigeria today is a key partner in counter-terrorism and regional stability, one must ask what strategic benefit the West would gain from destabilizing Nigeria. Destabilization would likely undermine long-term U.S. interest, making the claim that USAID was used to sponsor Boko Haram even less credible. With the lack of credible evidence and the documented U.S. stance against Boko Haram, this claim of Congressman Scott Perry should be treated with skepticism. It's crucial to verify such serious accusations by consulting multiple reliable...
Exaggerating facts and minimizing the truth.
The truth.
It's a conspiracy theorist. A right-winger, you know. And
I love the things you said about the insurrection, the Capitol riot. I still never able to go and read about.
Let me tell you something. For those who don't understand, Obama was president until the 20th of January 2016. Buhari was sworn in May 29th, 2015, which means Obama had less than 1 year to the end of his presidency before he left. Obama left and handed over to Donald Trump. Don't forget that same Obama did not sell arms to Jonathan because he couldn't get the guarantees
that
from
this thing wasn't
Jonathan.
going to end in the hands of terrorists and
Thank
other
you.
groups. Yeah.
When Trump became president in 2016, it was then that Buhari went to the United States and Trump being or 20 months later. And with clear cut instructions that they would not be used for any group outside of terrorists.
The ones they're seen as terrorist organizations.
And that is why the Senate of Nigeria had to pass a law that described bandits
as terrorists. Just so that these things can be used against them.
Can be used. So when you put all this facts together, and after Trump came Biden, all right, now you discover that President Buhari fought Boko Haram so hard and made some
gains
against them.
Again, we remember how Boko Haram emerged.
Yes.
How their leader was killed.
In fact, the Boko Haram emerged under Obasanjo as a small group. But then they became notorious under Yar'Adua and Jonathan.
Yes.
When their leader, Mohammed Yusuf,
was killed.
And one commissioner in Borno State.
Yeah, it was under even Yar'Adua.
When they were killed. That's how the thing exploded. So this whole idea, they just had to look for...
to justify this DOGE. Yeah.
And like I told you, Elon Musk, who is doing this job, has not made this claim. There is no evidence, but these guys don't need evidence.
They just say what they want to say.
And there are people like them who also do not need evidence.
Yeah.
Like I just told you, one of the selling points for Trump in Nigeria by most people is to say, it's against gay.
He's against gay.
People.
He has not just appointed.
He has just appointed Richard Grenell,
who is a known gay man, an openly gay man into his cabinet. You don't really need to. Let's again in terms of who Congressman Scott Perry is, and his conspiracy theories for people who don't know. So that again, when you get this information, you filter it. I had a friend who challenged me immediately with this information to say, look at the US, Obama, Biden.
Somebody even quoted the chief of defense staff and played the interview where he said some of the terrorists that surrendered had dollars.
Yes.
As if you needed to be funded by the US before you can have dollars.
Now, I made it clear that, look, when some of these monies are thrown around by the US, there are strategic interests, and I think people need to. But for Scott Perry, so that, but again, he has a long record of promoting bigotry and conspiracy theories. In 2017, for example, Perry accused CNN host Chris Cuomo of making up data about devastation caused by Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico and the Trump administration's response at that time. After Joe Biden defeated incumbent Donald Trump in 2020 presidential election, Perry endorsed baseless claims of voter fraud and encouraged Trump's effort to overturn the results, the Capitol riot.
In fact, he arranged alternative members of the state legislature in Pennsylvania to go to Washington and say they are endorsing Donald Trump and that they are going to give him their vote.
So those were the guys who pushed for the insurrection. They were the ones saying that, look, there was voter fraud and all of that. In fact, he successfully sought pardons for participants in the January 6, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. At an April 2021 House hearing, he repeatedly brought to the United States to dilute the voting power of conservative white Americans. The list is so long of who this man is. But Nuruddin, we know the history of Boko Haram. And even Buhari didn't do any better with Boko Haram. Insurrection, the bandits were all over. The killings did not end. In fact, it took years of negotiations to even get some of these helicopters. I think the Tucano jet took years to arrive. So again, maybe people don't understand. Is there something we need to correct really as to how Boko Haram emerged in Nigeria?
One thing there is this. At times, when some certain people put information out and you see some certain political jobbers,
we just run with it.
They will just run with it. And we said it. That's why no government can solve the problem of Boko Haram. Because even the current government is trying. He cannot do that because there is the hands of the United States in it. And I just look at it that what concern Agbero with overloading? Because we all know the history of Boko Haram, I could recall very well that in about in 2001, if I'm not mistaken, okay, 2003, when I was in Kano, that I've been getting the glimpses
of these guys.
Particularly, I was living in front of Mopo Barak in Otoro, and I followed them from Central Mosque down to where they camped. In fact, that place was very closer to one foreign supermarket that they later saw some bombs in Kano. What happened was that I don't know where these people, they'll come in Jalamia, all of them. You understand now? They'll be brought
and I
by
think,
coastal.
I think their leader Yusuf was working then with.
He was a special advisor
to the governor
to the current vice president. He was a special advisor. It's not that he was just an aide.
And his
special advisor.
His deputy was a commissioner.
Yes, under
Modu Sharif.
What happened
So
was
they
that,
were entrenched in the political space.
Soldiers arrested them. When they arrested them, they handed over to the police. They don't know how they were killed. So that's the basis of all this.
How the thing escalated.
And one thing there is that group was a group. You know, one thing there is this. One of the things that I always fear about the politicians is this: they know how to start a group, but they don't know what is going to head that particular group.
And how to contain them when they become problematic. Yeah.
You should know when one particular governor that I don't want to mention in Ogun State was recruiting cultists, and we told them at that particular time that this thing is going to boomerang, and that is what is still affecting Shagamu as I speak today.
He calls clashes every
and that's
time.
The thing. Look at what is happening in Mushi. Where some certain guys are killing themselves, they are killing themselves as we speak. As at yesterday, I got an information one guy was dropped.
Mushi has become a big problem.
And when they were creating, when the politicians are creating these
groups, arming them, sponsoring them,
and sponsoring
so
them,
after politics,
at that particular time.
the
So what
are
concerns United States of America with issue of Boko Haram?
I don't know if you heard about Alex Jones. Have you heard about Alex Jones? It's a conspiracy theorist. Alex Jones and Scott Perry share so many things in common. 14th of December 2012, Adan Lamza, 20-year-old, went straight to Sandy Hook Elementary School after he had killed his mother at home
and shot,
and shot 20 children between 6 and 7 and 6 teachers. Do you know that Alex Jones and people like Scott Perry believe that those children were child actors, that nobody was killed?
Even with all of the evidence.
Yes. The parents of those kids took Alex Jones to court. The court ordered him to pay them $1 billion US.
For the emotional damage he had caused with his conspiracy theory. I know VP.
The only reason why people like Scott
Perry
are still talking and continue to talk is because they are covered by the immunity that congressmen enjoy
in the US.
And so they are fond of coming out to throw out lies, and all that. They just needed to find justice.
So basically they just wanted to justify this withdrawal of aid. That look, because again, if you listen to
what they want to do is it's simple. That so far, don't forget that their team is this. America
first
is for the Americans. And who are the Americans? They are the real Americans. So anything that America will be using to assist other people outside, we don't want it. We want it to be with him.
Again, but Scott, if you listen to him carefully, it wasn't so. There was nothing substantial in what he was saying, other than the fact that look, if a money is put in a country to develop schools and the schools don't exist, it means that money ended in the hands of terrorist network in that country.
Look,
because that was what he was saying basically.
How does he even know that the schools don't exist? Who has gone around this?
And that's what, because it was a congressional hearing.
Yes,
there were no
subcommittee.
Not the main committee. It was just, and it was the first hearing.
No, all he wants to do is to get in front of pressmen
and then throw these things around.
And these are the things that kept getting him reelected.
Yeah, he's been there for years.
If you come from the congressional district that he comes from, these are hardliners.
Extremists.
As far as is concerned. It's just like how South Africans at a point believes that a Nigerian doctor is taking the job of a farmer in South Africa.
And the xenophobia started.
Yes,
some people were pushing the conspiracy theory to them.
And all that. So, look, these guys are opposed to globalization of their economy, and we understand that it's their right. I had a conversation with one of them, and this is what he said to me. He said, listen, you were taught in the United States that you didn't need a college education. That was university education to move ahead and attain middle class status. You didn't need university education. And a lot of our folks, our parents, our brothers, our sisters, got to middle life status in life without university education. So they don't have the college debt, the student loans and all that. All we were told is that you graduate from high school, you join the union when you get a job, and over time you will rise to the middle class. And then there comes globalization, and leaders like Obama, Hillary, Biden, and all that. They don't mention Clinton, even though Clinton did almost exactly what Trump is doing. Clinton had to cut down the size of the government, and Clinton so far has been the only government in the United States in the last 50 years to leave a balanced budget and surplus.
A surplus, yeah. So I think he was even able to solve the recession. He came in at the point of recession, stabilized the economy, and left a budget surplus.
Yes. Now, so what he said, then all of a sudden, I sit in my office where I've worked for 20, 25 years. And then they bring one young man from West Africa because they said he's a tech guy. He studied computer. They brought him from West Africa. They bought his ticket. They got him a house. Okay? They gave him a car. And then they made him my manager.
And then becomes a problem.
That's all you're seeing here. The resentment about immigrants who are more qualified.
About talents coming from different parts of the world.
Outside of America to take jobs that they thought belongs to them. And they don't have the skills to occupy. Even with all the noise that they are hearing, Elon Musk is pushing
to bring in people,
to bring in engineers
from outside,
scientists from all over the world.
Which they are even kicking against.
Anywhere I'm seeing talent,
I bring them in.
Now he's saying it has to be from Europe and white South Africans.
Again, I think maybe just to feed into their own sentiment, the white sentiment.
That the MAGA group led by Steve Bannon, and Laura Loomer took on Elon Musk. In fact, they have sworn that before the middle of this year, that they're going to get Elon Musk out of Trump's orbit. And they are saying H-1B visa should not be allowed. Elon Musk says it has to be allowed so that they can attract talents from all over the world into America. And Trump took the side of Elon Musk with them. So there's going to be an epic fight, but we are all watching. But what I want people to know is that America has no reason whatsoever to fund Boko Haram and to ensure that Jonathan is removed from power. We saw how Jonathan lost election in Nigeria. It was a gang up of other political parties against him. And the fact that he was perceived by most Nigerians that he wasn't a good president.
That's the thing.
That was all.
Then another thing again is that we are not saying, because there are some histories also around America, how they have infiltrated.
No, I read it out from the man that wrote that. Look, there are records here.
But if they want to do that, they don't need to go that route. Okay, now, from now that we are saying, are they not making African countries?
Even security has not improved in Nigeria.
When General Murtala Mohammed gave his speech that Africa has come of age, there are those in the intelligence section, intelligence quarters, who believes that his assassination has something to do with America trying to take down a stubborn leader in Africa. He gave that speech. And that speech was on Angola and South Africa. The attempt by America to control African countries on how they respond to the situation in Angola.
And South Africa.
Don't forget that they had taken sides with Jonas Savimbi in Angola. Do you understand? And when they also didn't want him again, they took him out. So, like the writer said,
there are records of them.
At every point in time, America has got strategic objective, strategic foreign goals that they are looking for. So, what was America looking for in Nigeria
at that point?
Boko Haram?
Because they wanted
to remove Jonathan.
Before they get in it.
So, like you already asked in your post, by Mr. Curtis, what is it that Jonathan did not give to them?
And what did Buhari do for
Obama?
What was the particular thing that Obama wanted from Nigeria that Jonathan stood
away,
on his
and
way,
then Buhari handed over to them.
Somebody
and the gay as it stop in Nigeria that we even in Lagos State that we have.
We'll leave that and then just quickly. Well, still political roundtable, mainland 98.3 FM. Interesting conversations there because again, it's just important that we put some of these things out, especially because of the traction it has generated.
Yes.
There's been a lot of political conversations. Oh, you see, they did this and all of that. But it's just very important that when some of these things come in, we try to filter them. So that again, we only work with the facts. We work with the facts and the truth here, and so that we don't just continue to bother ourselves with politicians who are just very happy to throw conspiracy theories around for their own personal gains in the United States of America. And for those of you who may not understand what we're saying or who are still doubting some of these things, you can read about Congressman Scott Perry and his conspiracy theories. It's a lot of materials available for you online to go know the messenger putting out this particular message. But it's according to Nuruddin, it's going to be 7:30 in the next 15 minutes or so. It's just very important that we talk about the embattled speaker, former speaker, of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, is now in the hearing of his suit. I recall that Obasa was removed in absentia by 32 out of the 40 members of the State House of Assembly on January 13, 2025. He was in America when he was removed in a situation described as a coup in the APC in Lagos, divided over his removal. Obasa has gone to court. You gave out advice by Mr. Curtis Adiba on what you think he should have done, but now I don't think he's taking any of that. He's now in court. What do you think? Does this show bigger division in the Lagos APC?
Yes, it does, but more importantly, I think that Obasa has got some backing.
He can't be doing this in isolation.
He can't be doing this in isolation. No speaker is able to do this alone. And I think the major contention, finally, he succeeded in getting across to the public.
People are now watching him and listening to him.
On his grievances. And I think the point he has raised is that I was removed when the House was in recess. For instance, if the National Assembly, the Senate or the House of Representatives goes on recess, and that recess was declared by the Speaker or the President of the Senate, it takes them again to reconvene the House. Do you understand?
And that leadership must reconvene.
That leadership has to reconvene
the House.
But what his argument is that, and I think that is going to be his proposition will be tested by the court. His argument is that I had the mace with me. It wasn't that the House was sitting and I decided not to bring out the mace, but the House was on recess. Who reconvened the House and under what circumstances? Was there an emergency? If there was an emergency and I wasn't in the country, my deputy would have reconvened the House.
Deputy has that's Right Honorable
Miranda.
So
was there an emergency, and what was the emergency?
Okay.
So these are all the points that.
We don't want to preempt the court. He has said he wanted accelerated hearing.
Yeah, and that's why, because it's time bound. He feels that. This is politics. The time is running.
The longer
out.
you stay out of the, reckoning, the more problematic
and then
for you.
The fact that there is division within the GAC, and then there are all kind of information filtering out
things are being thrown around
about who is in support now.
Whether the president, who is also annoyed with the House,
that the way and manner it was removed, it wasn't right. We heard about the intervention by the First Lady and all that.
All manner of things being thrown around by politicians.
At this point, I don't want to speculate.
You don't want to advise anybody again?
No. the one that I gave, he did not pay for it. I did not use it. So I don't want to advise. Are you
withdrawing the advice, or you're saying, well, at this stage, you are indifferent?
Let it hang there.
Anybody can still pick the advice.
Yes, exactly.
So we have to wait to see where it all ends. But Nuruddin, what are the politicians saying? You have some of them as friends, especially in his local domain. Do you think that, because there are politicians who are saying that, Obasa is coming back. And that, in fact, the current House of Assembly is jittery. They are not happy. Again, like Mr. Curtis said, this situation, for the first time, clear division in the GAC, a clear division in the APC in Lagos seems to have brought up, you know, a lot of conversations around the fact that, look, there are people backing Obasa. In fact, you know, we've seen some of the reports again on named sources that have said that even the president was not really aware of his removal. And there are some who say, look, there was no way he would have been removed without the knowledge of the president. There are also people who say that, look, he has a very close relationship with the wife of the president. Again, all of these things are just conspiracy theories around, you know, grapevine, nothing confirmed yet. And that, look, there are powerful people in the APC who also have the ears of the president who are telling the House, you know, to do the right thing. Even if it must be removed, it must be done properly. We've also seen reports where they said the governor had been rebuked, you know, tongue-lashed for allowing that to happen, where he said, oh, I was not aware. And they said, when they removed you, will not be aware. All manner of things have been thrown out there. But what do you have as, you know, the latest development on this particular story, apart from the fact that Local Obasa is in court, which is within his constitutional right? Do you think the politicians give him a chance of a return?
Well, you know, in politics, when there is a vacuum, every other politician wants to be.
So what vacuum do we have now? The APC
with what is happening now from Agege, because even the APC in Agege has been divided. Even not even
it's a
for
divided
4 years.
house now.
No, even
before now.
Before now. So the only just thing is that he gave a lift
to the division.
To that particular people that has been divided against. So now they are now having lifeline, and that is the reason why. In fact, the person that gave the information that there is somebody in court now that is filing it. In fact, is registering it. So I won't mention my source, but the way that person, I said, come, I cannot roll with this kind of thing. This information. I want evidence. Snap it for me. And that was how the person snapping it, and I have to just throw it up. One thing there is this. Now, in Agege, there are some certain politicians that they don't want him to come back. In fact, many of them.
For their own interest.
For their own political.
Or the interest of the community.
For their own political survival.
Okay, all right.
And there are some certain residents that don't want him to come back.
For the sake of the community?
For the sake of the community.
Okay.
Because they are saying that even when he was there, what is the direct effect of his post to them?
But there are also people who want him in that place.
No, yes.
Who want him to come back.
Yes, there are some other people too that, because there are some other people that are political followers that they rely on his own
for your
power.
political survivors.
Yes, for their own political survivors. So there are some certain people like that also that, no, he must come back. When he come back, then one of the things that some people are also seeing is that this is the first time in the long while you are seeing councillorship aspirant, governorship, chairmanship aspirant now contesting and coming out to contest. They don't contest in Agege. They don't. They
just
don't
pick and choose.
They will just choose now. But now you are seeing people that haven't campaign trained. They are now even ready for.
But don't you think that what has always existed in Lagos will still happen? Somebody will still drop a list somewhere and tell others to go and sit down.
The way they are dropping lists upstairs, they are dropping lists. In fact, they will not even want them to come out.
What I'm saying is that
I understand.
Do you think there will be a primary?
No, there may not be a primary. But at least, you know, there are some certain people, they even want to come out as a contest. Unlike before, you cannot even come out.
People are always shown interest to.
Showing interest.
Structure in Lagos.
Showing interest.
It's different one really coming out, you know.
Showing interest and print even e-flyer that you want to be chairman. It has never happened, no.
Okay.
So now you are now having more people do. So there are some people
you have more participation now.
More participation now. Then another thing again is this. My own thought on this issue is this. As a citizen, former speaker, Right Honorable Jᴏɪᴜ Obasa, he has the right to go to court.
Which he has done. Which is even the civilized thing to do.
Even more than just creating unnecessary tension.
It's a civilized thing to do, yeah.
But one thing there is this. We have seen something related to this in Lagos State before. We know the one of Pedro, at least we know that one. Bokno Akerele, we know what happened at that particular time. We even know the one of Pelumi that a lot of people were even talking about. If you look at it critically, majority of these kind of things are not always solved in the court of law. Majority of it. Because one thing there is this. If you have majority 32, later he jack up to any numbers that wants to jack up, say they don't want you. And you have a point. But one thing that is certain is that the person who is the person backing Honorable Obasa on this?
Who is likely backing it?
Who is likely backing it? Can we say is the president? Can we say is the first lady? Can we say some members of?
Or he's just backing himself?
So, or he cannot be backing himself, especially on this kind of matter.
He's been speaker for almost 10 years.
Yes. So automatically,
you think he can back himself?
He can back himself on this. I'm very
against
sure.
the political establishment.
I'm telling you, he can't. He can't. Because if you know the way politics run in Lagos State, there are a lot of people that are involved in the what we call that we call politics in Lagos State. Obas are there, guys on the street,
the
boys on the
GAC
street.
divided GAC.
So one thing there is that the one that they call divided with how many numbers?
Okay, no, because we need to.
So, but one thing that is certain there is this: what a lot of people see in the court now. We want to see how that particular case is being accelerated with the time. But one thing that is so certain there is this: the chances are not so bright the way we are saying it.
For him to make a return.
It's not so bright. But that does not mean he doesn't have a chance. We are talking about the court of law, for God's sake.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Okay, anything can happen since we are talking about the court of law. Tʀᴇ Sᴏᴜ, you have any other thing to add to this Obasa situation before we open the phone lines?
Well, it's just that for me, I think that the court is going to court is a way to give him a soft landing.
Okay.
Probably we use the court to make the judgment, to give the judgment or the ruling that his impeachment is illegal.
So if the court rules, so it means that he comes back as speaker, and then what happens?
Yes, if the court says his removal was unconstitutional, our group.
So she becomes deputy speaker again.
Yeah, because they simply say that, look, what has happened is that it's the court. Don't forget.
What kind of working relationship do you think will now exist in that house?
Illegal working relationship. and let me approve it to you.
Okay.
It was in this very country that Ladoja was impeached as governor.
Yes.
And Akala stepped in as governor.
Yes.
When the court invalidated his removal,
yes.
Ladoja returned as governor. Akala went back to being deputy governor.
And they were just there doing their thing.
With the ticket of the PDP to run for governor. Remember?
Yes.
And Ladoja had to leave the party. What relationship do they have?
Yeah.
Legal relationship. What the law says, this you are
just
governor,
follow the law.
You are governor and I'm deputy
even if
governor.
you don't greet yourself in
No.
the house, they might not talk to themselves.
It's not even needed. You don't have to greet each other.
So another thing again is that if the court now goes against him, and it's going to be a member in the same whatever, also he can also come in, not greet anybody, face the business of the day, and just walk
and
out.
then move on. Okay. All right. Well, very interesting conversations we've had right from what Senator Aminu Tambuwal, former governor of Sokoto State, is saying about this mass exodus of politicians from the opposition to the ruling party, saying it's just about stomach infrastructure. These are politicians who should not be taken seriously. They are just looking for what to eat, really. Even though the House has said that, look, he doesn't have the moral standing to call anybody a political jobber when it comes to defection. He also has several history of defecting from one party to the other party. We've also talked about Congressman Scott Perry and his conspiracy theories about the United States funding Boko Haram in Nigeria. And, of course, Obasa's decision to go to court on, I think it's been a brilliant conversation from Barrister Tʀᴇ Sᴏᴜ to Nurudeen Adegbenro. The lines are now officially open. 09136 000 410 09136 000 410.
Thank God, though.
Hello,
for a long time. That is why I refuse to pick my program. Nigeria. It's not me that I'm deliberate call. You decide not pick my call.
Ambassador Mᴏᴜ, you have the floor. 1 minute.
Let's forgive me.
All right.
Barrister Curtis and my brother, how you doing over there? You are doing a great job here, honestly. To me, look, let's talk about Basa. One thing about Basa she knows is that if you know the constituency voted him as a speaker, even though the court said he should go back, he will be impeached. Okay? If court said that he should go back as speaker, the member should re-impeach him. That's for certain, which I think he cannot. It's a lot of people who just will use for his money, just to believe he's there. That's why they put in. You don't want to sit down and just be a gentleman of the member and continue what the constituency is sending them then. Look, to me, I can't doubt that some people finance Boko Haram interested in Nigeria here. To me, I will believe anything that comes because I believe all these are our L쏘ᴅyí Mᴏᴜ. People cannot just get this stuff like that.
All right.
Russia, America, both of them cannot say they are not part of it, but God will reveal them one day. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ambassador Mᴏᴜ, all the way from. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Fawad.
Yes, good evening.
There's Curtis.
All right, please, you have 1 minute. Please go on.
Okay, my condolence to Padiba and your family, and then the man that stand with the truth. May you show us some peace.
All right.
This kind of man that we need in our society, but God has taken him. For Tamboa, me I support Tamboa waiting Tamboa talk. I was once in the APC supporter, but today I'm not with them again. So if you go front, you know that what you are doing is not good. You come back, it's not bad.
All right.
So
Supporting is different from joining.
Yes.
You can support Chelsea today and tomorrow you are for Man U. It's a different thing.
We will move back APC propaganda.
All right. You said APC propaganda. I don't know where that is coming from, really. All right. Well, hello, good evening.
It's very good evening to the three wise men in the studio.
Yeah, good evening, Prince Wise.
God blessing for all of you.
Amen.
You see, number one, Obasa, it seems to me the man is greedy. 10 years as a speaker. Yes. If he win the court council to be there permanently. Then he tell him that to be sick and follow all these people they still gang up. If there will be a lot of allegations, corrupt allegations against him, and if he please, if he fail to resign immediately, that's for that. And for the Tamboa he talk like a politician. You know, court carpet case never start today. 20 years ago, don't the AG time we had it. But the Tamboa is not important to be castigating those court carpet case. That is what he said. Look at Kaduna now. Kaduna they have gone with people from other party joining this government party there. And as it is now, even though coming 2027, the people of Kaduna would like to go to where the government goes that and father and other person. So for me,
all right.
Because clarified by Polinga, I regard both of them total and best.
All right. Thank you, Prince Wise. Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Jimele.
Sorry?
Yes, Jimele. I'm reaching from Ireland.
From the island. Where on the island?
Yes, Bonny Camp.
Okay.
Quickly.
Yes. All right, please go on.
When this issue of Abasa arose the other day, I was asking for what are the grounds for the removal of this innocent man? Mr. Curtis were busy saying that the house does not, the house don't need to
have a reason.
They don't need to have a reason.
And that's still the fact. That has not changed. That is still the fact.
Wrong. As you can see now, the reason they laid there as the reason why.
No. Hey, Oga, would you listen to us? The reason Obasa has gone to court is not to say they removed him because there was no reason. He's talking about the process. It's not about the reason.
The process.
Yes.
The process he was saying now, is it not when he came back?
No, you have two issues you are mixing up, sir. You have two issues you are mixing up. The law. Wait now, just calm down. Listen now.
No. You guys are the one mistaking the.
No, you are the ones. You are the one. Okay, yeah. Go on.
The question I asked the other day is, what are the grounds? I think
there's no need to be any ground. They might not have a reason. That's what we are saying. As far as the speaker is, it's not according to you, according to law.
That is what the law says.
According to you or according to the law.
You know what I would advise?
Yes.
Get the Nigerian Constitution and read it. So you can make informed argument. The problem is this: impeachment is a political tool that can be used by members of the State House of Assembly. And unlike that of the governor, where the Constitution states clearly
the process
that you have to follow the social processes before you can remove. You have to first of all,
judicial
make allegation against the
allegation,
governor.
yes.
You set up you take the allegation to the Chief Justice of the state. He will then set up a panel. The governor will be given fair hearing by giving the opportunity to defend himself.
That's for the governor
and
or
then,
the president.
Yes, but you don't have that for the speaker. That's what we are saying. Now, but Obasa's argument is that
in court now,
at the time he was removed, the house was on recess.
That's his argument in court now. The process was faulty.
He was the one that closed the house. Now, what he cannot prove is whether his deputy who is also constitutionally empowered
to
reconvene the house.
Reconvene the house before they impeach him.
Yes.
So it's not about whether there was a reason. I have never even seen anywhere where he has said that, look, oh, this is the reason was faulty.
But you know
he's talking about the process.
Why he's accusing us of double speak?
Yes.
He has no evidence, but he's declared the man already innocent.
So
He's an innocent
he said he's wrong. He's wrong. We are saying the law here. It's not about
the
emotions
law.
and sentiments. So
Where go and then no be innocent. I no accuse anybody anything.
hello, good evening. Hello,
Good evening, Fuad.
Good evening. Good evening.
Oganuruddin, my dad,
Good evening, sir.
Marista. This court process, for me, I know that it go dey very difficult for president to say retain me back. So he want to use the court to bring him back. That is just they want to use the court to bring him back. Make it not be say president bring her back. That is just they want to do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Let's just take this call, Barrister, because I'll allow you to. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, gentlemen in the studio.
Yes, good evening, sir.
Yes.
Your name, sir. And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Elasa Maja. What I want
Your
to...
name, sir.
I want
Your
to,
name.
Yes. Actually...
Your name, sir. Your name, sir.
What's the name, sir?
Moses.
Okay, Moses from Ilasa. Okay, yes, please go on.
Yes. As a journalist,
Yes.
one thing that you do is to make proper investigation.
Yes.
The House allegedly sat and said, this man has spent so much money. That allegedly anyway.
Who is that?
But the House against the Speaker.
They spend so much money against him.
That they are the fraud.
No allegations.
Allegedly
against
of fraud.
Okay, yes, allegations of fraud, yes.
Yes. And as a journalist, as we are discussing this matter on radio,
Yes.
we should have also put this one forward to your listeners so that they will know that.
But we talked about it.
We've talked about it. Is this the first time you are listening to the show?
We talked about it,
But
and we
what-
say we cannot prove it.
It can't be proven. That's why we're not talking about it
We are
again.
not a court of law. We don't have the evidence.
Not that proving it. Not proving it. If you are alleged that, what we know that as a journalist, should also find out.
I should go and find out.
That is our part. That's our part. The other issue I want to tell is this.
All right. I will see.
The issue of America, which the other man is talking about,
Yes.
the funding of, diverted by, exposed by the one of the USA. See, one of the things that is Obama punished Jonathan is because Jonathan refused to that Jonathan is so like they sent to that school. So as we are discussing, what I'm saying that because it was only apparent on Jonathan was settling at that time. Even the Jonathan order for that to come and said that they can relate to Buhari.
All right, Mr. Curtis, you wanted to say.
The current vice president
Yes.
was governor of Borno State.
Borno State.
Kashim
Shettima at the time.
The one of the key Boko Haram leaders that they were looking for was arrested in his house in Borno. He did not inform the police. It was there they found it. So what is he saying? Is he saying that America sponsored him too?
Even when Yusuf was also killed, is it America that killed him?
Okay, so if America facilitated Buhari to emerge as president,
So that he can love gay.
so that he can, did Buhari
Supported.
no? Did Buhari get the National Assembly to invalidate the law that Jonathan put in place to support gay?
Because I was hoping to get him really to come up with where he was going on this.
But you know, these sentiments on gay is red meat everywhere in the world.
Everywhere in the world, yeah.
Even in America, if you don't want people to interrogate your policy or whatever you
just
say,
throw it around.
just throw it around. Say,
And we have just said to you that
Richard Grenner
even the man that said he's not going to support anything gay has just,
openly
appointed
gay.
man has now been appointed by Donald Trump.
Google it, Richard Grenner.
All
You'll
right,
see.
let's deal with this message. We'll now take the messages we have on Facebook. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. This is Olaiwola from Nigeria.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Olaiwola.
If you are talking about the Tambuwa is talking about the defection.
Yes.
Before you become the Speaker of Nigeria, is the support Bola Ahmed Tinubu making to become the Speaker?
He's not talking about the president.
14, that is why he begin to make noise. And
Back of the bed.
he cannot even return.
But the truth is that don't forget that with APC even at the center,
Yes.
and with all the financial muscle,
Yes.
financial resources
Justice.
muzzled against him, he was
won.
still able.
He was
still
able
able to emerge as
as
senator.
Senator. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, good evening again, Joshua.
Yeah, this is Tğᴇ Joshua calling from Butimeta.
Yes, how are you doing this?
Yeah, very well.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. You know,
No, that's okay. Just a lot of them actually. Drop a message. Well, thank you for your loyalty and commitment to the station. It's irresponsible. Oh, really? It was first set of people that did move from Senator Sonia and others who have joined hand to with the likes of Saraki to destroy the party then. I want to beg the PDP leadership not to trust Tambawa too, because it too will soon move to the move out of the PDP. And lastly, the new U.S. President Mr. Donald Trump should please do investigation on the matter, because Boko Haram has killed thousands of people in Nigeria. And lastly, Obasa should Fᴜဃᴜᴜ. He says he just accept his fate. I don't see him coming back as speaker again in Lagos State. Owners have taken back their property. Eko for Eko, Lagos for Lagos. We're going to talk about that. That's by Scottish that will be the sacrificial. Eko for Eko is up.
Say a weak man. It's always strengthened by the.
Really Lagos. What I don't know. As when you go to politicians, they are meeting. We'll try and fix that. We have John believe what the U.S. lawmaker said. Direct funding, because those in charge might have diverted the
physically. He moved physically very not quite long, but he has moved a very longer time.
The truth is that some funding by USA
could have
diverted.
Yeah, diverted.
There's a case there was a case of some bank top executives, funds that were sent into the country to aid the housing sector were hijacked by these people and diverted into private development.
So which is not impossible,
to divert anything, even the money that is not even from America, that is even from Nigeria.
And like we said about Afghanistan, Pakistan, it's possible too that some of those monies could have ended up in the hands of, because again, for the Pakistani government was collecting money from the US to have housed Obama for years. Osama bin Laden. So there's nothing that is impossible.
You know, like I said, that the USA was America's first responder for everything, whether it was in the time of the Cold War.
And I think people need to go and read about the Cold War and why America did all of the things they did.
I mean, look, if you talked about Chile, whether it was Allende, President Allende of Chile, you talk of Yugoslavia, Tito, President Tito. Look, America had a hand in trying to remove
people. Which was about America's interest, really. All right. We look at Obiora Ezechukwu is saying, good evening, gentlemen in the studio. On the Lagos State APC crisis, we all know that many members are not happy with what is going on with the party, but they don't know how to voice it out. But this Obasa matter would give them opportunity to voice out their disagreement. We are watching Obiora Ezechukwu from Akowanjo. Then Basil Chika is saying, Tambo might have forgotten how he jumped from PDP to APC during Jonathan time, which contributed to where we are now. So history is there for everyone to see. So he should go and sit down and stop crying foul, because it's fast coming close in 2027 when he will be buried completely politically. Very big shame. Chika Bende from Trade Fair.
Tambo is a very smart politician. If he sees that he
will jump to the APC too.
He will join to the APC.
They will remind him. You just said it now.
Do you think politicians ask him?
So you think Tambo can move to the APC too?
Your president once said he doesn't believe in Nigeria. Have you reminded him?
Okay.
Your current minister of communication.
Yes.
Have you forgotten what he said about Nigeria?
Yes,
but today is having minister.
Even the minister for FCT said he would not leave Ediki
go to cancer. And nobody has reminded him.
I think it was.
Okay.
But you take it to heart. I'm so serious making it.
No, Fayemi said, he said when politicians fight.
Now,
they are just deceiving you.
They are just deceiving you now.
They have where they meet in the night and so.
I didn't know their children are marrying themselves now. What's there?
It's such a big pity, really. And then Uwundu Austin is saying, Peter Obi and 2027. My advice to Mr. Peter Obi is to negotiate his way and join APC. He and his people will gain much more from the federal government of Nigeria. Already there's a gang up to make the country a one-party state. It will be difficult for him to make anything out of politics now. Be sportsmanlike and imitate late Dim Ojukwu, who later aligned with the center, and even his wife is working for the APC now. Peter Obi's insistence on contesting is bring bad blood between the East and the West. Peter Obi, Atiku and Kwankwaso miscalculated in 2023 and should live with it. Tinubu and his trial and error policies have brought hunger misery to Nigeria, but the politicians have ganged up to support him in 2027. The northern elites will want Tinubu to finish its 8 years to enable power to return to the north. Kwankwaso is already supporting Tinubu. We don't have that fact. It's not a statement of fact. And Atiku wants to run under PDP, and Wike is waiting for him. best bet for Mr. Peter Obi now, before it's too late, is to negotiate his way into the APC and attract federal presence to the Southeast. My personal opinion, though.
Why does Obi need to join APC before the federal presence can go to the Southeast?
I was trying to.
You see, this is the problem. People mistake our history. Dim Chukwuemeka Mᴏᴜ, when he returned from exile, joined MPN.
Yes.
But when it didn't work for him, he never joined the PDP.
Yes.
PDP, yeah.
He formed APGA.
APGA, he was in APGA.
Dikedi Orama never played the kind of politics you are telling Obi to do.
He was in APGA, all
He
true.
believed in
All
APGA, but he presented himself as a nationalist.
Nationalist, yeah.
That's
that
it.
was the only thing he did. He remained in APGA.
And that guy is still in existence
Until
today.
today, which is the party he formed, so. Well, O.C. Morale is greeting us all the way from the 9th Brigade Military Barracks in Ikeja Cantonment, asking about our morale. Lukman Oladipupo is saying, greetings from Dakar, Senegal, and even to you all on the town hall meeting.
Tell him to buy ticket and come back.
He don't go come.
This one.
Which is,
This one.
why is Mr. Tambua paying? He forgot how he jumped gate and defected to APC from PDP and later came back to the PDP. For me, it's as if the country have been programmed to fail and is really failing woefully. To be honest with you, my head is always pounding anytime I wake up and think of why my people are facing back in Nigeria. It's so sad.
Make it buy Panadol. Make it no pant.
They pity us all the way from Dakar. I know currently, well, we'll try and look at the Radio Garden issue. Eugene Oxlade is saying, good evening to the men in the studio. I just want to comment on Obasa. For me, since the majority of the House voted against him, I don't think he can take them to the court and win. Again, I believe Mr. President is aware of the whole situation, but he's just being silent. Everything under Trump, okay. Fred Ace, who has everything under Trump, whether good or bad, is just bad for Milan FM.
That's his opinion.
Well, his opinion.
An opinion is like a nose. We have all got one.
So you can shook it anywhere you want to shook it. It's okay. It's fine. All right. Okay, Funshaw Bennett is saying conspiracy theory. Konye Akpan is saying, good evening, intelligent men in the studio. God bless you all for the good work. But Mr. Adigba should find a way and contest for any position in Nigeria. We will vote for you. Barry,
The way they
call to service.
The way they voted for Ganiba,
A call to service.
And,
all right. I know.
I don't have to contest the election to be useful to my country.
Yes, that's it.
All right. I know Carol is saying, once the court pronounces Obasa as speaker, that house goes on fire, except the current speaker bows to pressure to be calm. Thank you, Barrister, for clearing the air about USAID. I knew many things don't add up. In this country, money rules. Ends PDP today, PC tomorrow. Now, anywhere Bele face. We have the world saying, good evening, House. The statement about USAID might be a conspiracy theory, but we need to look into declassified documents on the CIA getting involved in the planting of presidents all over the world. Secondly, we know a lot of rich families that are known for weapon sales in the US and the world, and they will make a lot of profit by selling weapons to both the government of the country and the militia that is against the government. In essence, the West stands to gain a lot from other countries using different means other than USAID. The resources of Africa is the reason why a lot of organizations like World Bank, IMF, and OPEC, whom the US are controlling, is a big reason why they will always have interest in Africa and the world. And then Muniru Kolawole is saying the Radio Garden. Okay, all right, thank you. Everybody's complaining about the Radio Garden platform. Yes,
there is a point in the grain of thought that the West, of course, want to destabilize the African continent because of the access it grants them. But don't forget that during the Cold War era, most African countries said they were non-aligned, even though they were saying, theoretically they were non-aligned, but of course they
which is even the foreign policy of Nigeria, still non-aligned.
Yes, but the reality is that the West depended on, and still depends on Africa for raw materials. Okay, whether you're talking about the cake, as the
yellow cake,
yellow cake is found in Niger, of course. So Africa is endowed with a lot of resources. You go to Congo, you come to Nigeria, everywhere you go, and they don't necessarily need to fight war
Before they
to get those things. They can actually bring in their companies, which is what they are doing, use the apparatus of government to get your government to give them favorable terms and sign an agreement to exploit some of these things.
They won't even spend much.
Yeah, they don't have to spend much.
All right.
All they needed to do is send a powerful delegation of Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Who will come into the country with businessmen from the United States.
And then before you know it.
And then look at what we did with France. The solid mineral resources of Nigeria, Minister of Solid Mineral, went to France with the president and then signed an agreement with the president of France.
In
So
fact, they would have been sending it on the back
So
of
there are different channels, really. All right, we'll to deal with some of the messages we have on YouTube. Dikpo Adegbite is saying, good evening. Okay, he's also talking about the Radio Garden platform. We'll look into that. Then Koraso Moloni is saying, I'm just watching you for the first time. Quite an interesting menu to serve. Keep it up. All right, thank you so much. And he said, Barrister Curtis is savvy. I love his analysis. Olatunde Ibrahim is saying, Buhari failed woefully in his fight against Boko Haram and is greeting us all the way from Abuja. Now let's try and take one or two more calls. Yeah.
To buttress our point.
Yes.
President Tinubu just issued a statement congratulating El-Rufai on his 65th birthday.
Yes, he did that. He said he contributed to his victory.
Exactly.
So politicians don't fight.
No, they don't fight. But you are here beefing me because I don't support Tinubu.
Well, also say
I have not.
Okay, well, while the president is congratulating Malam Nasser El-Rufai, we also want to congratulate Comrade Omoyele Sowore, who is also celebrating his birthday today.
You know, don't take things too just personally.
Yeah.
Just leave things where they
live
are.
like a politician.
Politics is
politics.
politics.
So you've never seen a situation where they are having one in Kai and you see Buhari. You
Atiku
see Babangida, you see Atiku, all of them. In fact, one of them will pay for the dowry.
Was Atiku not the father of Yusuf?
Abi?
During Buhari's wedding.
Right. 091
You know, that's why I like this Bello guy.
Yes.
I think El-Rufai's son.
Yes, now what's concerning him?
Who told Ayekoto?
Now.
He said, just calm down. When
they will settle this matter, you will not be called into the meeting.
They will just be, if you are there at all, it's to serve tea.
You will never be in the back room. All right, let's see whether we can squeeze in one or two more calls before we call it a day on the show this evening. 09136000410. 09136000410. Let's see whether we okay, I think we can still deal with some of the messages we have on Facebook. We have Owundo Austin, who is saying APC as a party is not our problem, but the people in it. Okay, I've not noticed the difference between APC governors and PDP. Okay, let's.
The people in it make the party. The party itself is just a platform.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening. Sorry?
I think Mr. Tambuwa should be taxed on.
Your name again? Sorry, I didn't get that name. Your name?
I said Mr. Tambuwa should just maintain his peace quiet over this defecting here and there. He started, it was one of those that started defecting, jumping from one part to the other. And he created this problem by betraying his ally, Wiki, by also as in supporting a Fulani, a Northerner, again, to come back to power.
You want to come back after Buhari?
Yes, after a Northerner has completed 8 years. And that is the genesis of what is happening in PDP today. Because Wiki was so betrayed and so hurt that why could you support another Northerner to come into power? And one excuse was that they needed the power, just for the power to come first. After the power has come forth, they can now say to a family level. Had it been Atiku and won the last election, would have been another 8 years of Northerner. So the problem with PDP can be traced to Tambuwa for what he did at the PDP primary. So he should come on that. And Obasa or what he could.
All right.
And next year, January, February, we are going to go into full blast politics.
Thank you. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening. Okay, I think yes, he has a point.
He has a point.
The last call, yeah.
If not Tambuwa stepped down for Atiku,
Atiku would not have taken the care of the PDP.
He probably would have won at the end of the day, but it wouldn't have been as straight as it was. Yes.
But and the thinking that, look, why would a Tambuwa, for example, have again valid points, you know?
And Wike is still embittered.
Yeah.
Because don't forget that in 2019,
yes, when
Atiku emerged, it was Wike was actually supporting Tambuwa.
Yes.
But Atiku dribbled both of them to emerge in Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
So for a Tambuwa, whom Wike sees as an ally
to have betrayed him in that manner. And then the thinking too that, look, why would a Tambuwa, for example, who is now calling some people so much infrastructure, be pushing for an Atiku to win When 8 years of another
all politicians in Nigeria promote stomach infrastructure.
If we aggregate all of this, do you think a Tambuwal should actually just keep quiet? He has no moral standing
I
at all.
think his strength is in his strength is in keeping quiet.
He's going to be more ridiculous for him to continue to talk.
Go underground and do your work.
But one thing there is this. I know one of the reasons why Wike will always be pained is that, do you know the kind of battle that Tambuwal fought to return to that Senate? In fact,
I think that was a rerun.
Wike swore that.
I think that was a rerun.
Yes,
Wike swore that Tambuwal was not going to come to the Senate.
Okay. A lot of things happen.
Let's just speak this last call and then we call it a day on the show. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening. You have 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you very much. Enjoy your program.
Thank you.
I'm very delighted the way you have been analyzing it. I think my own.
Your name, sir. Your name and location.
Okay, Daosa calling from Baruwa.
Okay, Daosa. Please go on, sir.
Yes, my own take on this Obasa case. I just think Obasa should just take it in good faith and let it be. There's no way we can't fight this battle that is beyond his strength. That's just my own take and my advice.
All right, thank you so much. Own take and advice, Barrister Curtis. This is where we will be calling today on the show. 30 minutes, 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Your final take on the show for this evening.
Don't jump to any conclusion on USAID yet.
USAID.
As far as I'm concerned, they have done better things than they have been castigated.
I just saw a video on social media of a young woman who was going to the AIDS center in South Africa.
Yes.
And they told her that, look, the place has been closed down.
The drugs are no longer available.
So this is a center funded by USAID to support people living with HIV/AIDS.
There's also a program called WASH that provides well, water, borehole for people. All those things are in jeopardy now. You go to our rural communities, without the assistance of USAID, majority of our communities today will not have even running schools.
I said that, look, this is a wake-up call.
But Scott Perry, I mean, how many wake-up calls do we need to get?
You
remember there was a time, I think one small girl did a video somewhere in Delta about the terrible state of one school before they had to attend to it. Look, are we saying that the governors and our public elected officials don't say these things? Look at the road that was done in Edo State that time. The road where grasses were growing out and the guy had to put. So how many wake-up calls are we going to get before these guys stand up?
They might not even wake up. They are busy moving from one party to the other one. Thank you so much, Barrister Curtis Adiba, for the brilliant submission onto the show this evening. Thank you so much. God bless you. Nuruddin, your final take.
For me, I know that some certain local government chairmen, they are winding down already their second tenure. None of you should leave any abandoned project.
The people, they are going local government.
Yes, now
you have one of them you want to talk to.
In fact, the way they are going.
You have one person in mind.
I have one.
Talk now.
That has used 6 years to do a road.
Which road and which local government chairman?
Agege local government chairman. Oredako, he has used 6 years.
What's the name of the chairman?
Alhaji High Chief Ganiu Akolawale Egunjobi. He must complete Oredako Street before he leaves.
He has been doing for how many years?
6 years.
Okay, so he must complete it, and that's from Nuruddin Adegbero. You don't think well. Thank you so much, Nuruddin. Again, the passion for his community is something that we should always encourage. Well, this is what we call today political roundtable.